Hey Starlights, it's Janelle with the Ask Janelle segment again. Today's question comes from Carol in Sydney, Australia. Hey Carol, isn't it summertime in Australia right now? I wish. It is 4 degrees outside right now and I am freezing. I got home maybe about 10 minutes ago and my feet and my hands are still cold. So Sydney in the summertime is sounding real good to me right now. But your question, you didn't ask me about the seasons. Your question is, dun, da, 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 Janelle, what is the higher self and how can I access it? I've been really trying to connect more with my God self and I want to figure out how I can get to my higher self. Is that different from the God self or is it the same thing? It's a good question. Um, The higher self and the God self are the same thing. I've heard them used interchangeably. Um, the higher self is the part of you that knows that everything is always going to be okay. It's the part of you that's settling. It's the part of you that will love somebody even if they do you wrong. It's the part of you that knows compassion. It's the part of you that is open to receiving all good and that knows that you're deserving of all good and that's always there and still and quiet. And it's so peaceful for me to even think of it. I just did a question for Ask Janelle about the ego, which is the higher self's opposite. And so I'm going to use the same analogy with the higher self. The higher self is the angel on the shoulder in the cartoon. It's the halo. And it's the glowing light about you. It's what you want to awaken so that you can become all that you're destined to become. And so how you get there and how you awaken it I think really begins through calming yourself and stilling yourself. And I always say that in order to still yourself, you start with a breath. You breathe in deeply and you blow out. And then you begin to just kind of go inward and allow yourself to feel the place of peace that's within you. I always say a prayer when I'm starting to feel myself going into more of my egoic self. I always say a prayer to bring me back to my higher self. And so any prayer that brings you back to center is perfect. And then you breathe and then you close your eyes and you meditate and you allow yourself to be centered and ask God to awaken that piece of yourself. It's something that you work at. It's not something that just off the bat shows up for you usually. Usually we're inundated with our egoic selves and all the stuff that we've learned, and so it gets a little bit clouded in there. The higher self gets a little bit clouded in there, but it's always in there, and it's always ready to shine. It's the piece of you that's always going to bounce back. It's the resilience. It's all the good in you. And so you call upon that whenever you need it. And you shut out the thoughts and the ideas of anything that's contrary to it. You literally shut it out. And that gives you the space for your higher self to shine. Your higher self is your most beautiful self. Your most beautiful self is directly connected to God and the divine. And God has set us up here pretty well. He's hooked us up with some really cool um, partners in crime down here. We've got our angels, we've got our higher self, we've got God, we've got all of our spirit guides, we've got the ascended masters, we've got all of that spiritual support. And then we have the mind, the tool to access material support and human support and intellectual edification so that we can move forward in that way on the earth plane. So it's really just amazing to me all the time how God has given us these, um, just given us everything that we need. Um, Another way that you can connect with your higher self is to do that through your physical body. And a lot of people kind of like raise their brow when they hear me say that, but your physical body is a message center. It's a tool as well. Because your higher self is really like your soul self. Um, And so the higher self doesn't need a body. It's going to live beyond the body. But the physical body is here for us as a message center so that if there's something that is contrary to your highest good, you feel it in your body and it does not feel comfortable. Oftentimes, people will get headaches when they hear something that's not true or something that makes them feel badly, or like a blow to their solar plexus, like right in their tummy. It's like they get like a stomach cramp, or when people are really nervous because they have to present and they feel vulnerable, they'll get the butterflies in their tummy. Some people, when they're worried about their finances, they'll get like back pain, and that's contrary to the higher self too. I'll have to do a whole video on finances someday. But that's contrary to the beliefs and the knowings of the higher self too, for you to fear that any of your needs won't be met. So the higher self is the piece of you that always knows that everything is all good all the time and that doesn't have any fear. It's all love. And we can access it at any moment just through our breathing, through our prayer, through our meditation, through our connectivity with the divine, through spiritual readings, any of that, we connect with our truth through all of that. So I hope that I've answered your question. Please feel free to ask me anything else at any time. Send your questions to info@janellmorgan.com, or you can message me or post something on my Facebook wall at facebook.com/JanellMorgan411 or on Twitter at JanellMorgan411. Okay? So I look forward to answering more of your questions. I hope you guys have a phenomenal 2014, and thank you for your question from Australia. Yay! Twinkle and beam, you guys. Peace.